Welcome back to Everything Goes. Today I'm in the studio by myself, but I will be joined by one of our co-hosts, Ian IC3. So just give me a second to get him on the phone. Alright, I got my man Ian on the phone. How you doing today, bro?
Yeah, though, I'm green. I'm out this John. You mean I was outside last night, see the
Uh-huh,
birds
I
get
saw it, I
excited.
saw it.
Say shit.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the guys.
So let me get your takes on the game last night. We had the Eagles and the Commanders, final score being Eagles 26, Commanders 18.
Listen, bro, I'm not gonna lie. Like, shockingly, I don't. Due to our coaching staff, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't think that I'd come across and say something like this. But I feel like the Commanders got outcoached last night. I feel
Okay.
like they were. I feel like they were in a position to win the game. They were leading the game. Like, it was maybe a few minutes left in the third quarter, and they was winning the game. It was 10-6, and it just felt like, on both sides of the football, like it was just slow. It was just a slow game.
Mm-hmm.
But we figured out a way to, continue to, put our foot in the gas and continue to, keep going forward. Saquon had a monster night.
As usual.
You know, yeah, exactly. We talked about, Saquon or Jalen getting in the end zone. You said that. I was telling John when he was there, like you said that they both was going to get in. They both got in for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Saquon got in twice. JD didn't look bad. But in times where, like he had to step up, he looked like a rookie.
Yeah.
If you look at, the passing stats in terms of his receivers, his leading receiver was Austin Eckler with 90
Crazy.
yards, 8 receptions. And that's his running back, really his second string running back at that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, last night it turned into let's go sack Jaden Daniels, let's give him pressures, let's see if this rookie is really ready to play football.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that he's not ready to play football, but I think that our squad, our defensive approach, overcame what he was able to do and, present to us.
Okay. So I kind of agree with everything that you're saying. I think that this game was more about the Eagles than the Commanders. I think the Eagles, y'all went out there and y'all did your job from start to finish, even though it was a slow game, like you said. Y'all still looked good, and even though y'all went into halftime, which only had 3 points going into halftime, I still knew at the end of the day that y'all was gonna go over y'all team total. Y'all finished with 26, cause this is what we see from y'all. The first half, y'all go out there, y'all get 3, 7, or 10, and then y'all in the game with 25 plus. Like every time, it's like y'all just explode in the third or the fourth quarter. So like we're used to seeing this all year. And I do think the way that y'all played last night, like you said, the coaching was slightly better than it's been all year. Y'all did have a little bit of kicking problems. I do want to get your opinions on that. But before we talk about that, I just think that y'all solidified yourselves as the second best team in the NFC behind the Lions.
Yeah, for sure. I was having this conversation last night as well because I saw, the Spurs Jones where they got with Emmanuel Acho and Chase Daniels,
Mm-hmm.
and, all of that. And Chase Daniels is basically saying that he's not in the space where he's willing to like recognize the Eagles as the second best team in NFC.
What?
And he basically said he basically said that the Eagles don't have a quality win. And he said that, if we win this game, then, maybe he'll consider it. But I'm like, okay, if you say that we don't have a quality win, I'm not necessarily mad at that. But if you say that we don't have a quality win, who else in NFC has more quality wins than us with a better record that you're considering, as a number 2 in the NFC? And also, I don't feel like it's too many teams right now, like, especially in NFC, with just impressive, like, schedules or whatever coming up, opponents in general. So I feel everybody is kind of just, taking what's in front of them and doing what they can with what's in front of them. And I feel like, we had a couple games where, Jalen didn't play well or our coaching was highlighted in terms of what kind of, playmaking decisions are y'all calling for. But outside of that, I feel like, we've performed and did what we're supposed to do. Like you said, I feel like, behind the Lions right now. And if we see the Lions in the playoffs, are we the favorites? No. But can we compete?
Yes.
Can we compete or can we? Yeah, exactly. So I'm comfortable right now.
Yeah, so I feel the same exact way, but I do want to get your opinion on the kicking game. Do you think that was just that one-time moment, or do you think that's something to worry about going forward? Because I only say this because as you get deeper into the playoffs, your kicking game is going to matter. The Lions found that out last year. Not saying that they had a bad kicker, but they just decided to keep going for it. When it came down at the end of the game, they realized they should have took them points.
Listen, bro, I don't even know what to make of this because on one side it's like, damn, Jake, like,
Mm-hmm.
like what, like what's going on? Granted, the kicks that he missed was 50 yards, or more, but it's also like you are a 7, 8, 9 year vet, so you're supposed to be used to this
Kicking
kind
those,
of
yeah.
expectation, this kind of pressure, this kind of you know weight on your shoulders, kind of situation, and beyond that. Like you said, like you need to kick the ball sometimes to win games. On the contrary, what I will say is that our coach hasn't put our kicker in positions to get, kicking reps.
Mm-hmm.
Practice is one thing, but game time kicks, game time, decisions with pressure and stuff like that is a situation where you can't. It don't matter if you can kick from 70 yards away. When the lights on, the pressure's on, when the moment matters, it's a different situation. And I feel like, our coach doesn't put our kicker in positions to really get those reps in.
Mm-hmm.
He's watching the game. I talked to John. I'm like, I think it was our first drive, whatever. We got to the red zone. We got to like the 3 or 2 yard line, and they came out and kicked the field goal. And John was like, oh, like, we kicking field goals today? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't mad at that. You look at what the score was at a point in time. The score was 12-10. So like if we don't kick that field goal, then we lose in the game at that point in time. So, Nick made the right call, but I'm not going to say that in what week 10, week 11, I'm concerned about kicking. Like, everybody got a bad day, and I'll just chalk it up to that right now.
Okay. So yeah, before we move off the Thursday night reaction, I do want to touch on the Commanders a little bit. Like you already mentioned, I don't think it's nothing to be concerned about. Like Jalen looked like a rookie quarterback in moments, which you can expect. We should expect that. Social media makes you think that he should have had the moments, but he's going to have the moments. It's growing pains. So I don't think it's nothing to be concerned about there. They had back-to-back losses to y'all last night and the Steelers before that. The only thing I do want to point out, like you said, when he was throwing the ball last night, you can't have 10 completions going to your running back and 8 go to Austin Eckler, and only 2 completions to your wide receiver in meaningful minutes. Terry only had 1 catch, and Noah Brown only had 1 catch, and that was before their final drive when I think like 2 other wide receivers had 1 catch. That you can't do that. You got to be able to push the ball down the field. But at the same time, I don't necessarily blame him because he's used to having a fast start. They do wide receiver screens and quick outs and all that type of stuff, and they wasn't able to set that up for him to be able to deliver the ball down the field. He hasn't really shown us in the NFL that he can consistently drop back and just throw the ball down the field, and we don't need to see that yet. So I'm not too mad about that. So I do want to move on to the rookie quarterbacks. We're going to start with Jaden because I still got him number 1 even after the last 2 games. Like, he's been having a good year, and I do think, like, anybody that's panicking, they should calm down and relax. Even though people kept screaming his name out for MVP, I knew that wasn't going to happen. He's a rookie. He wasn't going to win the MVP. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl. I didn't think that they was going to win the division, even though people had them winning the division all of a sudden because they was performing well. But you still got to be realistic. So I don't think it's nothing to panic about. He's had a great year. 2,300 yards in the air, 10 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, 500 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns. And mind you, the last, 2 or 3 games, he hasn't really been running that much because of the rib injury. So them 500 rushing yards can easily be 700, 800. So he's having a hell of a year. And I don't think, last night or Sunday take anything away from that.
Yeah, Sunday he played, solid football, and also he played in an elite defense and an elite coach. So, like you said, I'm not taking that away from him. Today he played, well, not today, but last night he played a division game against a team that's been to the Super Bowl, in the last 2 years, and last year we was undefeated for the first 11 weeks or 10 weeks. So, like you said, I don't think that either one of those losses is a bad loss. I think that, when you talk about, like I said, in terms of Chase Daniels and what he talking about in terms of quality wins, if you just look at the schedule, right now the schedule is getting a little rougher. Regarding rookie quarterbacks, I do agree that Jaden is number 1 right now. But what I will say is that last night kind of like emphasized to me that each rookie and like their production. I think that most of the rookie quarterbacks that we've seen that's like on teams that matter in terms of like
Mhm.
Jaden, Caleb, Bo Nix, Drake May, like squads like that where they're in the game and they actually playing. I think that most of those quarterbacks are capable quarterbacks, with solid skill sets. But I think that each team is kind of like what the quarterback is doing is kind of a reflection of the coaching
Mhm.
and what they're doing in that area. If you look at Jaden right now, his coach, his offensive coordinator, they set him up for success.
I
You look at the
completely
weapons
agree.
around them. Exactly, like they talk about how the first 4 or 5 weeks they was talking about how this is a college style offense.
Mhm.
Whatever style of offense it is working. And so it's been times where that doesn't work because it's not. At times you got to throw the ball. You got to go, more than 20, 30 yards down the field.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it's like you said, if Jaden's starting off fast, if you get to that rushing touchdown, and you get to, the end zone before he has to really go out and really throw the ball, then they can stick with that game plan. Same thing with Bo Nix. I think that Bo Nix is in a situation where his defense is elite. He doesn't
Mhm.
have great weapons, but he has
Good
a
enough.
solid
Yeah,
running back,
solid.
and he got a solid number one. Their number one is really, on another team, probably a number two, but
Mhm.
it's a number one that's willing to go out there and work, and they're building that rapport between quarterback and wide receiver. So Bo Nix is starting to look like, weeks 1 through 5 or 6, he looked like a game manager with an elite defense. When he
Mhm.
played KC, he looked like a quarterback. He looked like somebody that was ready to play. And they lost on, on
The
some
block.
BS,
Yeah.
on block. Exactly.
Like
So it's
he
like,
did enough to win that
um,
game.
exactly. And against Mahomes, regardless of what his team and what he's missing, all that, we see him missing however much the last 3, 4 years. So that's
Mhm.
still, granted they lost, but that's still impressive. And then, like you said, you talk about Caleb or Drake May. Drake May, he played for the Patriots. His personnel, his, what's surrounding him is not set up for him to succeed. So, I'm not going to say too much on Drake, but Drake looks impressive in a sense. I
Mhm.
think that he's shown that he can make throws and, he can go through his reads. He still got some stuff to learn as a rookie, but Caleb is also falling victim to the coaching scenario that he's in right now.
Mhm.
If you watch him on the sidelines, you can see that he doesn't believe in everything that the coaches are saying to him.
Mhm.
But Caleb also probably offensively has the best situation to come into in terms of receivers, in
Weapons.
terms of
Yeah.
weapons, in terms of running back in the backfield. All of those things. I feel like he has the best situation to succeed. And thus far, he's had 1 or 2 games where he's looked impressive or, remotely close to what he was in college. And outside of that, he's just, out there trying to figure it out. So,
Mhm.
do I think that long term is something to be, concerned for? No. But do I think that he's living up to his rookie year expectations? Not by a long shot.
Got you. So by the way that you talked about them, I don't know if that was your order or not, but that was definitely my order. So right now I got Jaden 1, then I'm gonna move on to Bo Nix. I got him at 2 for the reasons you said. He's been playing good football in the situation that he's in with a great defense and a solid number one wide receiver, like you said. He's up to 2,000 passing yards on the year, 10 touchdowns, 6 INTs, 300 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns on the ground. And like you said, he did enough to beat KC even though they lost on a blocked field goal. But then the week before that, he played the Panthers, the worst team in the NFL, and he made them look like the worst team in the NFL by winning by a score of 14. They beat them 28-14, doubled the score. And he just been playing clean football. He hasn't really been turning the ball over too much like a lot of people thought he would do going into the season. And so moving on to Drake May, like you said, I didn't really know what to expect from him. So I guess I've been shocked. He's been playing decent football. He's up to 1,000 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 200 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown. But he's only started 5 games, but he went out and won those games. But in them 5 games he's played, he's 2-3, and he just blew out Caleb last week. Granted, that was his defense more so than what he was doing, but they was able to get the job done. He was still the quarterback in that team. And so he's not holding the Patriots back. He's actually elevating the offense. And I watched the game. I want to say it was the Jags game where he went out there and he had over 200 passing yards, and he also had like 60 or 70 rushing yards. Like, he was the whole offense. He had more rushing yards than both running backs put together, and he had all the passing yards. They only moved the ball with him. So, can't take nothing away from that. And then moving on to Caleb, like you said, the situation that he's in is not really a good one. And I would say, like, it's partially the front office and then partially his fault. The only reason why I say it's his fault is because I seen a stat the other day. He's taken the most sacks when his offensive line win. Like, when they win the block, he's holding on to the ball and he's creating lanes for the defenders to get through to sack him. He's taking too many sacks, trying to create big plays instead of taking what's there. Like, every time it's not a bad play call every single time. It's some play calls that it'd be stuff there, but he's looking for the big play downfield. And so it's a combination of both. And definitely with them, he don't even know who's coaching him tomorrow or the next day. Like, he keep losing everybody on his offensive staff. The whole staff then got fired in the past week. So we can't really blame him. And then also a lack of confidence. That's a big thing. And I don't know if the team is not confident in him or the coaching staff that's remaining is not confident in him, because we definitely saw the report about him maybe getting benched.
Yeah, and that report came from players as well. Like, it wasn't a thing about the coaching staff losing confidence, because if you look from, where they came from and who was playing quarterback beforehand and what he was doing, not to say that, because we saw Justin Fields leave and play, 4 or 5 solid weeks, this year in a Steelers jersey. But at the same time, if you looked at the level of football that, that Justin Fields was playing last year, and, they was willing to rock behind him and continue to support him, that kind of like raises concern in terms of if the players are calling for Caleb to get benched. Like, what is their motivation? What are they feeling? But like you said, what I will say is that sometimes it's not, it's not coaching, it's not scenario. Like you said, I feel like part of him and what's going on right now is him trying to adjust to the NFL.
Definitely.
And, realizing that the way that they play defense, the way that they call defense, the way that plays are ran is not the same way in college. And, part of the reason why I told you I don't really enjoy college football, because you can run around in the pocket for 10, 15 seconds and then there's going to be somebody body yourself downfield. In the NFL, that's not happening. So, Caleb is used to extending plays, and another quarterback that we know, kind of for that in the league right now is Jalen Hurts, where you got a right tackle that hasn't given up a sack in 5 years. And, the rest of the offensive line has been solid, all pro for the last, I don't know how long. But Jalen's still out there taking sacks, and it's not because we not blocking or because, he's getting beat all the time, but because he's sitting there trying to read the field and look for bigger plays to make. When sometimes you got to take that 5, 6, 7 yard, game. Do you think that there's any way that Bo or anybody like overtake Jaden as the number one for unless like outside of Jaden losing for the rest of the season? Like, do you think that it's a way that the Washington Commanders still have a successful, rest of the season, and another quarterback takes over his spot in terms of the most impressive rookie or, even offensive rookie of the year?
I don't think anybody can overtake him, because, so one, I'm just going to put Drake May and the Patriots out of there. That's not happening. They're not going to win enough games. He's not going to catch up in the stats, so that's out of there. Same thing with Chicago. They looking like a mess right now. I don't think that there's any way, shape, or form that Caleb numbers is going to jump up and he's just going to turn it around just like that. So I don't think that's happening. His only competitor right now is Bo Nix. But the difference between him and Bo Nix is in a division that is not even a 3-team race, but it's 2 teams that's better than his team. You got the Chargers and you got KC.
Right.
And in the NFC East, he only got to worry about the Eagles, and he just lost to y'all this one time. But who knows, y'all might sweep them, but y'all might even split. But even if y'all do sweep them, if, like you said, if they don't just go out there and lose out and he just play terrible, if they just play decent football the rest of the way, I don't think anybody can overtake him.
Okay. Yeah. I ain't mad at that.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to call it there, and we're going to catch you guys in the next segment. We appreciate everybody that tap in, and we know we can't grow as a channel without you guys. So definitely stay tuned for the next video.